going to move to the second part of this presentation, which is, well, like a presentation within a presentation. This is me so long ago. And this is my teacher, Charles Hannum, Dr. Charles Hannum. I was a theater major, and he was the director of Judson College in Marion, Alabama, all-women's college in the 70s, and they imported this Yankee. He really shook things up. But I just want to keep his picture in front of you because one of the things that was so heartening about today was just listening to the level of concern and enthusiasm and your professionalism and your care, the way in which you care. So what my purpose was to share what I know and then also to encourage you. So I'm going to do a little personal revelation here, and I did write a speech that I'm going to kind of perform for you. So this is like a oral interpretation, kind of thing. So here we go. I stand before you as living proof of the powerful impact of a persevering teacher. I have, in truth, been a great source of disappointment and frustration for most of my teachers. I am a developmental student. My father was mentally ill, and he self-medicated with alcohol, and he created a life of chaos and despair. He would become very angry if my mother paid the bills with his paycheck. On top of that, I was also a real dork. I mean, really, that was my nickname. That pack of peers, those little bullies, they like to shorten my name, Dorothy, to Dork. And in all honesty, when I went to college, I changed my name to DJ. I just didn't want to hear Dorothy anymore. But I understand why they did that, because I was really, you should have seen me. I had glasses before I could walk. I was born cross-eyed and buck-toothed. So I had lots of surgeries before I could walk, had glasses, grew to be much taller than anybody, especially the boys. So I developed a posture of a really old woman really early in life. And then my mom insisted that I always have my hair cut in a thing that her hairdresser called a pixie, which was a little bowl cut that didn't flatter me at all. And then to be like expressive one time about, I think it was probably first few years of high school, I went out and got glasses that were very stylish, I think. At the time, they were like shaped like this, and they had glitter right here. And although I was mostly quiet, if I was startled into, laughter, it was a braying that you could hear everywhere. So I was really a dork. I was awkward, I was different, I was goofy, I was self-conscious. And much of my early academic career careened along a treacherous edge and really resulted in some very devastating collisions. I'll never forget the elementary teacher who ripped my spelling test up in front of the whole class because I thought I would try to learn one week, and she didn't think I could. Another teacher kept repeatedly correcting my grammar in front of the whole class. I finally got the nerve to say, "Where are we at?" "Where are we at, Dorothy? Where are we at? I do not know, because I do not know where at is." Educated people do not end their sentences with prepositions. Textbook page, please. Just where are we in the textbook? And I still see the large red letters of a teacher's note scrawled on one of my essay cover page for all to see as it was passed to the back of the row where I felt most comfortable. F, this is unacceptable work, 3 exclamation points. On a deep and unutterable level, I feared I really was a dork, and everyone, including my teachers, agreed. As an adult, I express it this way: a view from within. Stupid me, full of stops and no's and don'ts and can'ts, stalked by failure, running from rejection, tripping over needs, stubborn against most everything. Sometimes the striving goes hard and I hope against hope, or maybe it's my mama's hope, and enroll in my future and find myself here today in your class, beneath your scrutiny, hoping the glint in your teacher's eyes comes from a good light, while that bare, fierce fear breathes hot down my neck and my brain freezes to stupor? I don't think my slowness to rise comes from any dullness in my head. After all, I can be a sly survivor. But then again, stupid me got this far, knowing nothing. So most people think. So show me. I dare you. Go on. Show me my worth. And though I had all these horrible moments, a wrecked affective domain, screaming out hurt, my most profound experiences were in school. My most profound positive experiences in my early life were in schools and orchestrated by loving, caring teachers. 8th grade Mrs. Gilbert would play vinyl records. I will never forget that. Edgar Allan Poe. They woke me up. These teachers woke me up. They got me to lift my head from my despair and pay attention to something outside of myself. When I heard Edgar Allan Poe on that vinyl record, oh, I loved it. It was just wonderful. I could listen better than I could read. Mrs. Wolf, her speech class, she let us do an oral interpretation, and I memorized the entire long short story, The Mask of the Red Death by Edgar Allan Poe. Had a cape, a red cape, and a candle, turned out the lights, and recited that whole thing from memory. And Mrs. Wolf came to me later and she said, you know, you ought to major in theater and English and be a teacher. I was like, yeah, right. And then Mrs. Bear, my 12th grade teacher, she traveled with me during one of the most difficult years of my entire life. I've never walked such a dark path. And that was the year that my father did commit suicide, and he left himself for me to find. And I don't remember much about that year except her personal journal. What a year for her to assign a personal journal. And listen, I usually didn't complete stuff like that. You know, I was a procrastinator. But this time I did, even though I cheated. The night before, I wrote the entire journal. It was a 6-week journal. Wrote the whole thing the night before, post-dated everything, and turned it in. And I tell you what, it was really a frightening experience to turn that in. And I look back at that now and I think, oh my goodness, obviously I am a developmental student because here I am doing all these inappropriate public disclosures that make us all feel uncomfortable. And it began right there. But I think I needed so much to make a connection, in that hour of pain. And her response, she gave me an A. It's one of the few A's I made. And then she just wrote one note, God bless you. And that touched me so deeply. And I will always be grateful for her dignified, restrained, and heartfelt response to me. I didn't know it then, but it seems to me now that what they really gave me was hope. Unspoken and often unacknowledged until we have opportunities like this to just pause and reflect. Emily Dickinson put it this way: hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And that's what those good teachers stirred in me, the sense that I could be capable, that I did not need to fear, that in life and learning, pleasure, fulfillment, reward could be had. The great Greek dramatist Aeschylus said, the meaning I picked, the one that changed my life, overcome fear and behold wonder. Often our students struggle to find wonder in two places, the curriculum and the self. A dedicated teacher can guide the student into the wonder of knowing both. Joseph Campbell said, the job of an educator is to teach students to see the vitality in themselves. Oh, how hard this is as core curriculum, semester schedules, and the overwhelming needs of our students drive our pace, right? Yet I would like to share with you how one teacher, Mr. Hannum, Dr. Hannum, did that for me. I am convinced he's an answer to my mother's prayers. He and I began our time together at Judson the same year. He is the sole professor of a brand new theater department. There were 30 of us, freshmen through seniors, and he taught us how to design and build sets, hang lights, do sound, and perform the classics from Moliere to Shakespeare to Tennessee Williams. He kept us working late, and he still expected us to show up for 8 o'clock classes and do well. Me, still reeling from the personal trauma and undisciplined and disconnected, I often skipped those 8 o'clock classes. Why I kept signing up for them, I'll never know. I never read the textbooks until the night before the exams. And I can even remember thinking, boy, if I'd started earlier, I'd know this stuff. I often turned in works of first drafts, hastily done at the last minute. And he tried everything to make me mend my ways. He did. He cajoled. He even bet with me, bet you $10 you can't make it to 8 o'clock classes all this week. And of course I didn't. And then he held me accountable. He made me pay him. I did not make that bet again. He gave me a place to learn academically and thrive socially. And the fact that it was through theater, that great ancient tradition of oral literacy, I had to learn Shakespeare to be able to perform Shakespeare. I had to learn Tennessee Williams, and it was kinesthetic, and it was exciting, and I was learning the classics and didn't even really understand that. That's how disconnected I was. But I really, God bless him, just so you know how dedicated he was, because we did build our own sets. One day he told me to go drill a hole in a broomstick for the play Hansel and Gretel. So for the Wicked Witch, I had to drill a hole. And I was really afraid to admit that I didn't know anything, so he left me alone in the room, and I thoughtfully and carefully chose my tool, because I didn't know which one I was supposed to do. I think what he said is make sure there's a hole in that. That's what I don't think he said the word drill. I think he said, make sure there's a hole in that broomstick. So I was really working pretty hard, and he came in and he said, what are you doing with that soldering iron? I was really bad off, wasn't I? I was really a dork. Carl Jung once said, one looks back with appreciation to the brilliant teachers, but with gratitude to those who touched our human feelings. And the curriculum is so much necessary raw material, but warmth is the vital element for growing the plant and for the soul of a child, a student. So I wrote a tribute to Hannum. Hannum, a God-gifted teacher. I've always known you, a gift from God, no less, because always and in the first and from all our moments, the flow between us, electric shock around, arcing above and beyond us, you make me know. You saw something in me of worth, some value worth the work to express itself. And your sight gave me eyes, and now a voice urges on a body of work. I've always known you, a great gift. And only yesterday I prayed, God, give me a poem I could give to you. And that small, still voice within said, you are my poem to him. God answers before I ask, as always. This I know. So you, my fellow teachers, my sojourners in this journey, you may just be somebody's called answer to prayer. Your work is of great important value. You don't know the impact that you are having. That's immeasurable. This is the gift, your gift to the world, the hope you instill in others. Thank you. Thank you.